Let me ask you something simple. What's the last thing you usually do before going to bed? If you're like most people, it might be checking your phone, watching one last episode of your favorite show, grabbing a quick snack, or sipping on a so-called harmless drink. Innocent enough, right? But here's where things get interesting. These seemingly small habits, practices you repeat night after night, might be quietly working against one of the most overlooked areas of men's health, your prostate. Now, before we go any further, I want to offer you something extra. Stick with me to the end of this journey, and I'll share a powerful yet simple bonus tip that can enhance any prostate support routine naturally. It's often ignored, but when done right, it could amplify the positive effects of your nighttime habits. Trust me, it's worth waiting for. When it comes to your health, especially something as delicate as your prostate, the details matter. Even small missteps in your nightly routine can build up over time, contributing to inflammation, discomfort, or more serious complications that could have been prevented. This is not about fear, it's about awareness and making smarter choices starting tonight. Let's unpack one of the most common routines, using screens before sleep. It sounds innocent, but those late-night scrolls or binge-watching marathons might be playing a deeper role than you think. The light emitted by your phone, tablet, or television, especially the blue spectrum of light, has been shown to interfere with the body's production of melatonin. That's the hormone responsible for regulating your sleep-wake cycles. But melatonin isn't just about getting a good night's sleep. It plays a role in reducing inflammation throughout the body, including in the prostate. Disrupting your melatonin levels consistently can throw off your body's internal clock, increase oxidative stress, and gradually affect your hormonal balance. And when that balance is off, your prostate pays the price. Over time, men may start experiencing more frequent nighttime urination, pelvic discomfort, or even early signs of prostate enlargement, symptoms that often go ignored until they worsen. But the screen itself isn't the only issue. Think about what you're consuming during those late hours, both digitally and emotionally. Watching news that spikes your anxiety or scrolling through social media arguments can elevate your cortisol levels, the body's primary stress hormone. Cortisol is a natural part of our biology, but at night, it should be winding down, not revving up. Elevated cortisol at bedtime contributes to inflammation and interferes with the natural recovery processes your body depends on during sleep. And if your body isn't entering a true state of rest, how can your prostate recover from daily stress? But here's the good news. You're not powerless. In fact, the shift starts with one of the most accessible changes you can make: reducing screen time at least 1 hour before bed. Use that time for low-light reading, light stretching, or guided breathing exercises. You'll likely fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, and allow your body to focus on internal repair, especially where it matters most. As men, we're rarely taught to connect our daily habits with long-term wellness. But awareness is the first step to transformation. The more you understand how your actions impact your body, the more control you gain over your future health. So tonight, I invite you to look at your routine with fresh eyes. What feels harmless might not be, and what feels difficult to change might just be the easiest way to protect one of the most vital parts of your body. In the next insight, we're diving into something you've probably never thought of as harmful, something that sits in almost every kitchen and seems completely normal before bedtime. But understanding how it interacts with your prostate could change your habits forever. Ignoring it might not only limit your results, but could also lead to consequences that most people never see coming. Let's revisit a familiar scenario. It's late evening, you've had a long day, and your stomach whispers that it wouldn't hurt to have just a little something before bed. You head to the kitchen and grab a snack, maybe a few slices of cheese, a handful of salted nuts, or a sugary treat. Harmless, right? Surprisingly, no. That small indulgence might be fueling an invisible fire inside your body, particularly in your prostate. It's easy to overlook how something as simple as a bedtime snack can have real physiological consequences. But research continues to uncover the deep connections between nighttime eating and inflammatory processes, especially in men over 40. Let's start with something as common as processed cheese. Rich in saturated fats and often loaded with preservatives, this beloved snack can trigger low-grade inflammation when consumed regularly. In moderation, it may not be catastrophic. But when it becomes a habitual part of your nighttime routine, especially during hours when your digestive system is slowing down, the impact becomes more serious. Your body isn't designed to process heavy, complex foods late at night. Digestion slows, metabolism shifts into recovery mode, and insulin sensitivity drops. What this means is that high-fat, high-sodium foods eaten close to bedtime are more likely to lead to fat storage, blood sugar imbalance, and systemic inflammation. And when the body is inflamed, the prostate is often one of the first organs to show signs through urinary frequency, discomfort, or changes in flow. But cheese isn't the only culprit. Salted snacks, deli meats, and even that seemingly harmless glass of soda or diet drink can create similar issues. Excess sodium contributes to water retention and places extra pressure on the urinary tract. Artificial additives may disrupt the gut microbiome, which we now understand plays a role in hormonal balance and immune regulation. That imbalance can lead to downstream effects on the prostate, triggering symptoms many chalk up to just aging. Then there are the sweet indulgences: cookies, pastries, ice cream, packed with refined sugars and simple carbohydrates. These spike insulin levels quickly, and insulin is not just a blood sugar regulator. It also has an inflammatory profile when chronically elevated. Consistent sugar spikes can stimulate androgen activity and potentially worsen conditions like benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH. What makes all this more concerning is the timing. Nighttime is when your body is supposed to engage in cellular repair and immune system regulation. When we interrupt that rhythm with poor food choices, we don't just delay digestion. We create a kind of internal traffic jam that affects how efficiently the body can perform those essential repair tasks. So what can you do instead? There are alternatives, nutrient-dense, anti-inflammatory foods that can actually support your prostate health while promoting restful sleep. A small serving of pumpkin seeds, for example, is rich in zinc and phytosterols, both of which have been studied for their potential role in prostate function. A warm herbal infusion of chamomile with a bit of turmeric can help calm the system and reduce inflammation gently. Simple shifts like these may seem small, but over time, they support a more balanced internal environment where healing, not harm, takes place overnight. One of the most empowering truths about health is that it's not about perfection. It's about consistency and intention. When you become more conscious about what goes into your body at night, you begin to reclaim a sense of control over how your body functions during the day. We often focus so much on what we do during daylight hours that we forget how critically important those final moments before sleep really are. They set the stage for everything from hormone regulation to tissue repair. In the next insight, we'll explore a behavior so mundane that most people never think twice about it. It takes place just before you head to bed, and how you handle it may be quietly shaping the long-term health of your prostate. If left unchecked, it can even accelerate complications over time. Understanding and correcting it could be one of the most crucial steps you take, because ignoring it not only limits progress, but can also subtly invite health setbacks that might otherwise be avoided. Let's talk about a habit so ordinary that it often escapes notice, something millions of people do every night without giving it a second thought. And yet, the way we approach this routine action can quietly shape the long-term well-being of the prostate. It begins in the final minutes before bed, often as part of a checklist: lights off, doors locked, bathroom break. That last one, the act of urinating before going to sleep, may seem like a trivial task. But how you approach it matters more than most realize. Many people unknowingly train themselves to ignore the body's early cues, often because they're too focused on other nightly rituals or simply too tired. They go to bed without fully emptying their bladder, or worse, hold it in longer than they should while finishing something on their phone or computer. That delay, seemingly harmless in the moment, can gradually lead to more than just nighttime discomfort. When urine remains in the bladder for extended periods, particularly overnight, it can increase pressure within the urinary tract and create a more favorable environment for bacterial growth. For men, this adds significant stress to the prostate. The prostate is positioned just beneath the bladder, and it surrounds the urethra, the tube through which urine flows. When the bladder isn't emptied completely, or when urination is rushed and incomplete, pressure builds and can irritate or inflame the prostate tissue. This isn't just about discomfort or the occasional urge to wake up in the middle of the night. Over time, these patterns can contribute to conditions like prostatitis, inflammation of the prostate, urinary retention, or even the progression of benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH. What's more troubling is that many men accept these symptoms as part of getting older, when in fact they are often the result of long-standing habits that can be changed. One often overlooked detail is posture. Standing while urinating, especially in a hurry, may not always allow for full bladder emptying. Some urologists suggest that sitting to urinate, particularly at night, can help relax the pelvic muscles and promote more complete emptying. It might feel unusual at first, but the long-term benefits of reducing residual urine and relieving pressure on the prostate are worth considering. Another aspect is mindfulness. Rushing through such a basic function without awareness can lead to mechanical behaviors that ignore the body's signals. Taking a moment to relax before urinating, breathing deeply, and giving your body the time it needs may help your bladder function more effectively. These small behavioral changes, hardly noticeable day to day, can have cumulative benefits over time. There's also a hydration angle to consider. Some men avoid drinking water in the evening out of fear they'll wake up needing to urinate. While it's wise to reduce liquid intake an hour or two before bed, becoming underhydrated can cause urine to become concentrated. This irritates the bladder lining and can lead to a stronger urgency with smaller volumes of urine, which is hard on both the bladder and the prostate. Instead of cutting fluids drastically, aim for smart timing. Hydrate consistently during the day and taper off in the evening. Avoid diuretics like caffeine or alcohol close to bedtime, and focus on water-based foods at dinner, like steamed vegetables and soups that hydrate without overloading the system. The goal is to maintain balance, not deprivation. Here's where we start to connect the dots. The prostate doesn't operate in isolation. It's affected by everything from your hydration status to your posture, from your attention span to your evening schedule. By optimizing the seemingly mundane act of urinating before bed, you create an environment in which the prostate can function with less resistance and stress. That means fewer interruptions in the night, less discomfort, and potentially a reduced risk of inflammation or enlargement over time. It's a chain reaction, one that starts with a few conscious decisions in the final minutes of your day. We often chase complex solutions and overlook the basics. But sometimes it's the simplest changes that bring the greatest relief. And in this case, learning to honor your body's signals, adjusting your posture, and being mindful of timing could quietly rewrite the way your prostate behaves over the years. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore one of the most common bedtime habits, so common, in fact, that it's often mistaken for relaxation or reward. But beneath its soothing surface lies a pattern that could be quietly undermining your efforts to protect and restore your prostate health. If you skip this, your progress may stall, or worse, the very habit could become part of the problem rather than the solution. By now, we've seen how small, everyday habits, from what you snack on to how you empty your bladder, can either support or strain your prostate. But there's another routine so deeply embedded in daily life that it rarely draws scrutiny. It feels comforting, even beneficial. Yet when done at the wrong time or in the wrong way, it may subtly disrupt your body's natural rhythm and potentially your prostate's ability to recover. Let's talk about what you drink before bed. For many people, a warm drink at night is a soothing ritual. A cup of tea, a small glass of wine, or even a late coffee, even decaffeinated, can feel like a reward for a long day. But the impact of these beverages on your prostate may be more complex than it seems. Take herbal teas, for example. On the surface, they're natural and often marketed as calming. But not all herbs are created equal. Some blends include ingredients like hibiscus or licorice root, which, despite potential benefits, may act as mild diuretics or influence hormone levels. That can lead to more frequent urination at night or slight hormonal shifts that impact prostate health over time. Even green tea, rich in antioxidants, can become counterproductive if consumed late, due to its caffeine content or its effect on bladder sensitivity. Then there's alcohol. A single glass of wine might help you unwind, but it also functions as a diuretic, increasing urine production and potentially irritating the bladder. Alcohol can also disrupt REM sleep cycles, reducing the body's capacity to repair itself overnight. And because the prostate relies heavily on a well-regulated hormonal environment, anything that compromises sleep or fluid balance can ripple through and affect how this gland performs and regenerates. Now consider decaf coffee. It may not give you a buzz, but it still contains trace amounts of caffeine and acidic compounds that can irritate the urinary tract. This irritation might not be felt immediately, but over time, it can manifest as urgency, discomfort, or increased nighttime trips to the bathroom. Beyond what's in the cup is the issue of timing. Even a healthy drink taken too close to bedtime can challenge your body's natural preparation for sleep. Digestion requires energy, and liquids demand processing and elimination. Drinking anything within an hour of lying down, especially in larger quantities, places extra demand on the bladder and kidneys at a time when the body should be shifting into rest and repair mode. This doesn't mean you need to avoid nighttime beverages altogether. The key is intention and awareness. If you want something warm before bed, opt for infusions that have calming and anti-inflammatory properties without overstimulating the bladder. Chamomile, ginger, or turmeric-based teas without added sweeteners or irritants are generally better tolerated and may even help reduce inflammation. Keep the volume moderate, around half a cup, and aim to finish your drink at least 60 to 90 minutes before lying down. Another tip is to observe how your body reacts. Do you feel more bloated, experience urgency, or wake up multiple times to urinate after certain drinks? Those signals are your body's feedback mechanism. Paying attention to them allows you to personalize your approach rather than following generic health advice. When we view our body as a system where every part affects the next, it becomes clear that even small, late-night choices can have ripple effects. The prostate, sensitive to fluid shifts, inflammation, and hormonal changes, responds strongly to how well you sleep and how your body recovers at night. Supporting this recovery doesn't require drastic changes, just mindful tweaks to what and when you drink. The goal isn't restriction, but optimization. Creating a nighttime routine that encourages full-body restoration naturally benefits the prostate. It's not about giving something up. It's about choosing better, smarter, and more aligned with what your body actually needs to heal. Remember, consistency is more powerful than intensity. When these mindful habits are repeated night after night, they build a foundation that protects your long-term wellness, not just for your prostate, but for your entire system. Coming up next is one of the most critical shifts you can make. It's where everything you've learned so far starts to connect, and if overlooked, could quietly sabotage your progress. Not understanding it doesn't just reduce your results. It may also open the door to the very issues you're trying to prevent. You've likely heard that what you drink matters, but have you ever considered how your drink choices before bed might be silently interfering with your prostate's health? After all the small shifts we've explored so far, it's time to talk about a habit that masquerades as harmless, even relaxing, but may be creating more trouble than you think. Many people reach for a drink in the evening to wind down. A favorite cup of tea, a glass of wine, maybe even a bit of whiskey, or a calming herbal blend. But here's what most don't realize. The body doesn't just react to what you drink. It reacts to when you drink it, and how often you rely on those drinks to help you disconnect. Let's begin with alcohol. A nightcap is often romanticized as a sleep aid. The initial sense of relaxation is undeniable, but under the surface, alcohol acts as a central nervous system depressant with wide-reaching effects on your endocrine system. It not only suppresses REM sleep, but also dehydrates the body and acts as a diuretic, forcing your bladder to work overtime at the very hour it should be resting. This means more frequent nighttime urination and disrupted sleep cycles, both of which have direct consequences for prostate recovery and hormone regulation. But it's not just the bladder that suffers. Alcohol, especially when consumed in the evening, interferes with testosterone metabolism. Even moderate intake has been shown to alter hormonal balance, affecting not just libido but also inflammatory markers tied to the prostate. Inflammation is often the silent driver behind many prostate conditions, yet few consider that their relaxing drink might be contributing to it. Now let's shift to something that appears more innocent: decaf coffee or certain herbal teas. While they may lack caffeine, many of these beverages still contain acidic compounds or natural irritants that can increase bladder sensitivity. If you've ever had to get up in the night after a cup of decaf or a floral tea blend, you've experienced this firsthand. Some herbal teas include ingredients like peppermint, lemon balm, or licorice root, all praised for various health benefits, but they can stimulate the kidneys or act as mild laxatives. When taken close to bedtime, they can increase the need to urinate, interrupting deep sleep and reducing your body's ability to engage in the overnight processes essential for cellular repair, including those in the prostate. Even water, when consumed in large amounts before bed, can become a problem. Hydration is vital, but timing is everything. The ideal approach is to hydrate consistently during the day, then taper off as the evening progresses. Drinking a large glass of water right before sleep not only taxes your kidneys, but can leave your bladder full at a time when your body is trying to slow down. Here's what makes this especially relevant. Prostate health depends on uninterrupted rest. That's the time when hormonal regulation, tissue repair, and immune modulation occur most effectively. If your sleep is consistently disrupted by trips to the bathroom, or if your body is forced to process substances that raise inflammation or disrupt hormones, you're unintentionally slowing your progress. So, what's the solution? It's not about eliminating nighttime drinks altogether. Rather, it's about choosing beverages that are prostate-friendly and understanding your own sensitivity. A small cup of chamomile tea, ginger tea, or warm water with a touch of lemon, well before bedtime, may support relaxation without overstimulating the bladder. Portion control matters too. Instead of a full mug, try a half cup. And instead of drinking it right before lying down, aim for at least 60 to 90 minutes beforehand. This gives your body time to process the liquid without letting it interfere with your rest. And here's something simple, but often overlooked. Track how your body responds. If a specific tea or beverage consistently leads to more awakenings or urgency, consider replacing it with a gentler alternative. Your body leaves clues. You just have to listen. When you optimize your nightly drink choices, you create an internal environment that supports not just better sleep, but also a calmer, more balanced prostate. And over time, this contributes to fewer interruptions, more energy during the day, and a body better equipped to repair and restore itself. The next habit we'll address is the linchpin of everything we've covered. It brings together all the micro adjustments and offers a clear, practical path to protecting your prostate, not just in theory, but in practice. Failing to apply it can quietly undermine everything you've done so far, and in some cases even reverse progress. But when done right, it becomes your greatest ally in this entire journey. Now that we've explored how late-night habits, from snacks to drinks, can influence your prostate health, it's time to reveal the key that ties all of this together. It's not a food or a beverage. It's not even a supplement. It's something far simpler, yet far more powerful: the way you prepare your body and your environment for sleep. This final element is where the science of rest meets the art of healing. And if neglected, it can quietly undo the benefits of every other change you've made. Let's start with light. Even after the screen is off and the phone is put away, many homes remain flooded with artificial lighting in the evening. Bright overhead lights, cold white bulbs, and even TV backlights confuse the brain into thinking it's still daytime. This delays melatonin production, shortens deep sleep cycles, and over time, disturbs your body's natural circadian rhythm. Melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone. It plays an active role in reducing inflammation, regulating immune function, and supporting hormonal balance, all critical components for a healthy prostate. When melatonin is suppressed night after night, your body's ability to repair itself quietly suffers. One of the most impactful shifts you can make is dimming your lights in the hour leading up to sleep. Swap bright white bulbs for warmer tones, or use lamps with adjustable dimmers. This simple act signals to your body that it's time to wind down. Now consider your environment. Is your bedroom cluttered, noisy, or full of subtle disruptions like LED indicator lights or electronics humming in the background? These cues, even when small, activate your nervous system. A room that's too warm, too loud, or too visually stimulating pulls your body out of the calm state needed for deep, restorative rest. Creating a sleep sanctuary is more than aesthetics. It's an intentional act of self-preservation. Cool the room to around 65-68 degrees Celsius, 18 to 20 degrees C, remove unnecessary electronics, and use blackout curtains to block external light. Add calming scents like lavender or eucalyptus if you enjoy aromatherapy. These aren't luxuries, they're tools for recovery. But perhaps the most overlooked component of all is your mental state. If you go to bed mentally wired, thinking about tasks, news, or personal stress, your body carries that tension into the night. And tension is a quiet disruptor of hormonal harmony. Cortisol stays elevated and inflammation lingers. That's why I promised a bonus at the beginning of this journey. Here it is. Each night before bed, practice a simple 5-minute diaphragmatic breathing technique. Sit or lie down in a quiet space. Place one hand on your chest, the other on your belly. Inhale deeply through your nose, letting your belly rise. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Focus only on your breath. This type of breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's natural relaxation response. It reduces cortisol, enhances melatonin release, and helps guide your body into deep, healing sleep. This single act can amplify the benefits of every other change you've made. Your body heals best when it's calm, dark, and aligned with its natural rhythms. The prostate, like many parts of your body, thrives when inflammation is low, hormones are stable, and sleep is undisturbed. Let this be your new nighttime ritual, not just for better sleep, but for true restoration. You don't need perfection. You need consistency, awareness, and the courage to adjust the small things that others often ignore. When you make these changes with intention, your body responds. Your nights become quieter, your mornings more energized. And over time, what once felt like minor tweaks add up to something far greater: protection, healing, and renewed vitality. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to share it with someone who might benefit. Like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already. Because when we spread useful knowledge, we empower not just ourselves, but everyone we care about.